I want y'all to join me in thanking our city staff. They produced that in-house, and I'm so proud of it. Good morning, and thanks so much for being here. I was talking before we got started, and my friend Tim Leach said that he is waking up with exuberant excitement every day in Midland, Texas right now, and I'm so excited. I think that's something that we can all get on board with, this exuberant excitement that we have because of the growth and the changes and all of the opportunity that's taking place in Midland right now. I want to say a special thanks to our Midland Chamber of Commerce and to all the sponsors of today's event. Midland has been moving forward at a much more rapid pace than I can recall in my lifetime. And I think many of you that have been around a long time would agree. We feel that pace and that momentum. I'm excited to share that momentum with you today. But today I want us to ask a really simple but powerful question. What makes a great city? Not a good city or an acceptable city, but what makes a great city? Some might say growth or big buildings or strong financials. And yes, those things do matter. But at its core, a great city is built by people, by teams who work together, by residents who care, and by leaders who are willing to think long term. It's built by a vibrant economy, driven by innovation and smart investment, by safe and beautiful neighborhoods that reflect pride and purpose as we're developing them, and by exceptional opportunities, recreationally, culturally, and educational opportunities that make life here more than just functional. These things are the things that make life here more fulfilling, and we're working towards those. So here in Midland, we're seeing those things begin to come together, and we're just getting started. Today is about more than reflection. It's a time where we can see where we're headed next and talk about some of those things. So let's take a closer look at the progress that we've made and the vision that we're all building together. If we ask what makes a great city, the answer can't just be infrastructure and investment, although we care a lot about those things. Our great city starts with our great people, and more than that, it starts with our leadership. It takes a strong team to make a great city, and I'm proud to say that Midland has that team, starting with our city council, but continuing through our city staff and to those who make our city function. We have over 1,000 folks who give every single day to make our city function, and we're so thankful, I think all of us, for when the trash gets picked up or the small things get handled, we depend upon them to do a good job, and we're thankful for that. We don't always agree on everything, and I have come to believe that that's a good thing, that we don't always agree on everything. What unites us is a shared love for the city and a commitment to public service, a belief that Midland's best days are still ahead. And so when we disagree and we work through things, we come to better solutions than we would have come to if we just all agreed to start with. I want to take a moment to publicly thank each of my fellow city council members for their leadership, for the long hours that you really do put in. I think we have one of the most hardworking city councils that we've had in a long time, and I'm thankful for your willingness to show up and do the work week after week. Yeah. What's remarkable about this council is that 6 out of the 7 of us were either born or raised here. I don't know if you've stopped to consider that, but 6 out of 7 of us, and all 7 of us are choosing to raise our families here, to invest in our businesses and our lives here. And I think that that's really important. We grew up on these streets. We went to school here. We played in these parks. We shopped in the old Dellwood Mall and then Midland Park Mall and all of the different parts of the components of our community. We've watched this city change, and now we get to help shape its future. And that's not lost on us. All 7 of us understand and respect the importance of the job that we're called to do. We're not making decisions for some distant place. We're making them with our own hometown, with the people that we grew up with, for the people that we went to school with, that we worship with, that we are raising our families alongside. For me, growing up in Midland in the 80s and 90s, it was a special time, and there was a strong sense of community. We were pulling through some hard times in some of those years as a community and as an industry, but there were a lot of things that were missing. We didn't have the kind of parks and trails that we enjoy in Midland today. Cultural and recreational opportunities were somewhat limited, and often entertainment meant going somewhere out of town. But today, things are beginning to really look different. We've made real progress. We've built new amenities, and we're investing in our infrastructure. We've raised the bar for what families can expect from the city of Midland. But none of that happened by accident. It happened because of leadership, because of a team effort, and because of people who love this city and who chose to step up. And many of you, not just these elected officials, but many of you are people just such as that who are choosing to step up and serve in your own places. That's what this moment is about, working together to honor where we've come from and working even harder to build the Midland that we know is possible. A great city can't be great without a vibrant economy. And Midland's economy is not just strong, and we enjoy that largely because of our industry, because of oil and gas, but we are also punching well above our weight. Midland may not be one of the largest cities in Texas by population, but when it comes to our performance, we're right at the top. In fact, Midland now ranks 5th in gross domestic product in the entire state of Texas. You may not be aware of that. Only Dallas, Austin, Houston, and San Antonio are ahead of us in GDP. Let that sink in. We're ahead of every other city in Texas outside of the major metropolitan areas in economic output, despite having a fraction of the population. And some of us are probably tired. We feel that, right? We're working hard to be able to have the GDP that we have right now. We're thankful for that. But why does that matter? It matters because a robust economy is able to fund our priorities, whether that's a city initiative or a county initiative or any of our other taxing entities or even the private investments. Our robust economy is allowing us to make some of the investments back into our community today that we couldn't make when we were kids growing up here. People are beginning to take notice of that. Midland was recently named one of the top 5 best performing cities in the nation. We're ranked number 1 on Heartland Forward's list of most dynamic metropolitans for 2024. We've been recognized as one of the best small cities for business and one of the fastest growing counties in the U.S., and our unemployment rate is now at 3.2, which is still the lowest in the state. That didn't happen by accident. It's a result of strategic decisions, a business-friendly climate, and private sector leadership. A city government that understands how to support growth without getting in the way of it. And that's one of the things that I hear repeatedly. We want the city to support what we're doing here, not hinder it, and we're working hard to that. So for those of you who already know what Midland is capable of, we say thank you. And to those who haven't noticed yet, we're going to keep reminding you. Midland is proving that you don't have to be the biggest to be the boldest, and that's exactly the kind of momentum that we are planning to build on. I think we can all agree that the Costco announcement was one of the most memorable announcements that we've made in a long time. And judging by the reaction then and the reaction now, that excitement has not faded one bit. Midland asked for it, and we've delivered it. Costco was the number 1 most requested amenity from our community. And later this summer, yes, this summer, we're going to be walking through the doors of the largest Costco in the state of Texas, right here in Midland. This is a 174,000 square foot facility representing $50 million of capital investment and bringing over 100 full-time jobs, creating a major economic anchor for a brand new commercial corridor along Highway 191. And you've seen that construction is going so quickly. It's so impressive. They apparently got with the Chick-fil-A people and they learned how to crank it out. And so this is about more than just a store. It's about keeping our dollars in Midland. One of the things as we were talking to them, they told us we have more card holders per capita here than they see in most other areas, and we don't even have a Costco store. And so we know that our community has already been spending dollars at Costco. Now we're excited to capture those right here in our own economy. For too long, people had to leave town to shop, to spend money in other communities that should have stayed here. And so now we're going to be supporting our tax base and fueling our future growth. The project proves what happens when vision, public-private collaboration, and a responsive city government come together. It's a win-win for the community. It's a win-win for my convenience for shopping for 3 growing children. And it's a win-win for the quality of life that we're all going to get to enjoy. And so again, this is just one example of how Midland is punching above our weight. We're proving that we can compete with any city in Texas on our terms. A great city is also a safe city. And it's one that's clean, and we're working on that part, right? Picking up litter all the time. It's well maintained, and it's built with intention. In Midland, we've made real progress on this in the last year. In just the last year, our violent crime is down over 10%. That is a significant statistic that we all need to recognize and be aware of. Share it with your friends and neighbors. Violent crime down over 10% in a year. Traffic crashes are down more than 9%, and we've seen a 21.7% drop in fatal crashes just since 2021. Much of this is due to the enforcement and increased safety initiatives that have been driven by our council, that we've asked them, but really they've been carried out by our police department. That reflects not just good policy, but it also reflects the daily commitment of our police officers, of our firefighters, our traffic teams working to protect our community every single day. We've also stepped up in another important area with code enforcement. We're focusing more attention on neglected properties, both commercial and residential, with overgrown lots and with repeated violations, and we're taking real action when safety is at stake. A clear example of this was the Vaughn building. We knew that we had people that were living in that building that were not supposed to be there, and there were significant safety hazards. And so after years of complaints, we took decisive action to secure that structure. And it's a visible sign that we're serious about addressing dangerous and dilapidated buildings, not just talking about it. We know that there's still work to do on the Vaughn building. There's still work to do on other similar structures around town, but we're committed to doing that work and making sure that we're securing things. And we're not doing it alone. We're also doing it with C-Click Fix, which is an app that we've rolled out. Midland residents are stepping in as extra eyes across the city using that app, reporting issues in real time and helping us to respond faster and more efficiently and effectively. That level of community engagement is helping us to stay ahead of problems and work more proactively across departments. If you have not already done so, I would encourage you to download C-Click Fix onto your phone. It's available for Android and for Apple users. I think you need to do that today. It's really making a difference in our staff's ability to execute quickly and efficiently, and we want you to be able to be a part of that. We're also raising expectations on the front end by creating beautiful neighborhoods through our planning and development process. We've significantly revamped that in the last year, and we're pushing for better coordination on landscaping, access, traffic flow, and additional added amenities in some of our new developments, so that what is built today will also work for us tomorrow. And we're seeing this in several of the housing developments as well as the commercial developments. We're really trying to level up on what we're producing and what we're asking developers to produce in our community. So from code enforcement and building safety to traffic enforcement and neighborhood integrity, we're taking a more coordinated and more strategic approach. Safe and beautiful neighborhoods do not happen by chance. They happen with a strong plan and with strong design. Before we move on, I want to just take a moment to recognize a major milestone achievement. And this is one that speaks to the kind of leadership, collaboration, and courage that it takes to make this city stronger. In February of 2025, we reached a long overdue solution to a challenge that had been facing Midland and our city for over 20 years, the unfunded liability of our Midland Firefighter Retirement and Relief Fund. This was a problem that many had chosen previously not to confront. It was easier to kick the can down the road or to assume that we would come up with a solution later. But this city council and my office and our partners at the Fire Fund Board made the decision to face this issue head on. We said no more delays, no more passing the buck, and with clear-eyed leadership and strong collaboration, we reached an agreement that ensures the fund's future for the firefighters who serve this city and the families that stand behind them. We did it without issuing a pension obligation bond, which saved our taxpayers, which saved you and me, $60 million in interest and fees because we did it without a pension obligation bond. The City Council committed $54.5 million of cash investment from our oil and gas revenues, which is a responsible and a lasting solution that's going to allow us to keep our bond rating and our financial security as a city, but also to solve the situation that we faced. And we did this together. I want to say this clearly. We didn't do this for our firefighters. We did it with them. And I want to thank them, truly thank our firefighters for doing the hard part, for showing up to the table with a willingness to compromise, for sacrificing a portion of their future benefits so that we could reach a long-term solution that balances sustainability with fairness. That kind of leadership, quiet and humble and sacrificial, is exactly why this community trusts them and why we rely on them for our most vulnerable moments. Because we cannot have safe and beautiful neighborhoods without the men and the women who are willing to run towards danger for the ability to protect our citizens. And now, because of their commitment and the council's action, we can move forward with certainty, with stability, and with gratitude, knowing that the 20-plus year problem with our retirement fund deficit has been solved. Thank you. And I'll just say, too, before I move on too far from that, that was one of the issues that really did keep me up the most at night as mayor. It was one of the things that was a huge financial burden, and it really began to potentially impact a lot of parts of our city. And so I'm thankful to have that solution behind us. We're moving forward, and I want to talk about what we're building for families and young athletes in Midland and around the greater West Texas area. We're proud to be investing in exceptional recreational, cultural, and educational opportunities. These are the kinds of things that make our city not just functional, but enjoyable, not just livable, but memorable. Let's start with Beal Park. It's a landmark project on the west side of Midland. And with over $45 million in total investment so far, we're still raising money. So if you're interested in participating, we'd be happy to talk to you after this. But $45 million total investment to date, that's going to bring us 62 soccer fields. And this is going to allow, catch this number, 6,200 kids in our community right now are playing soccer every year. 6,200 kids. So we're making an investment in something that's already taking place around our city with those young athletes participating in soccer. This project reflects the power of public-private partnerships and when we align vision with need. And many of the partners in this project are right here in this room who have seen the need and they've responded to it. And speaking of public-private partnerships, we're also proud to support the addition of the Midland Athletic Syndicate in West Midland, the Diamondback Energy Athletic Complex, which is going to be a new and privately funded sports facility. It's being built on city-owned land. And we're so proud of the folks who have led the fundraise to be able to make that happen so quickly and efficiently. This project represents a new model in collaboration where the private sector brings the vision and the capital, and the city provides the land and the partnership needed to bring it to life. It's a win-win for our residents and for the future of youth sports in Midland and the broader Permian Basin. Just across town, we recently celebrated opening the Reyes-Mashburn-Nelms Park. It's a $16 million investment that brings modern tournament-ready baseball complex to life. This park is going to serve kids and families for generations, and it's going to position Midland as a serious player in regional sports tourism. But we're not just focusing on new facilities. We're also committed to taking care of what we already have. The council has made the decision to increase annual parks maintenance budget by $2 million. Because we often say, we have all of these horses. We need to feed the horses we have, not just always buy new horses. And so our park system is only as good as our ability to care for it consistently. We're allocating the dollars to make sure that we're maintaining those facilities well. We're also pushing forward on connectivity and access through the Wildcatter Trail, which is a multimodal trail system that's going to link Midland and Odessa. We have received several grants towards this project to link Midland and Odessa. And this is not just a walking or a biking path. It truly is a regional connector, promoting healthy lifestyle and safe transportation alternatives and a greater sense of shared space between Midland and Odessa. We're going to begin to see that being developed in the next year. And finally, we're also rebuilding the Doug Russell Aquatic Complex. This facility in the summertime sees 800 visitors per day. And it is really time for an upgrade. And so we have made the commitment for those dollars, and that construction project is underway to create a modern, inclusive, and family-focused aquatic center that meets today's needs and it meets tomorrow's expectations. Every one of these projects reflects a shared vision to make Midland a city where opportunity exists not just in the workplace, but in our parks, our sports fields, and our public spaces. When we invest where people gather, we invest in connection, in health, and in long-term community pride. And we're so thankful to have a hand in that right now. What you're looking at here is a view of the newly opened Reyes-Mashburn-Nelms Park. If you haven't had a chance to visit it yet, and this may not be one that many of you frequent, but I would really encourage you to go and see it for yourself. Walk the fields and take in the layout and see what's possible when we invest in quality purpose-built spaces for Midland families and we build them to last. But more than that, this project represents something bigger. It's setting a new standard. This is now the benchmark for how we approach parks and recreation in Midland. Thoughtful design, high standards, and spaces that reflect pride in our community for this city. Great cities also aren't just built with concrete and grass, and we know that. They're built with experiences, the kind of experiences that bring people together, that activate our public spaces, and give us all a reason to gather and to celebrate. And so that's exactly what we're doing with our growing calendar of events and downtown programming. One of the biggest highlights of this past year was Midland's Merry Lights. Let me, a show of hands, how many of you participated or went down to see Midland Merry Lights? So many of you, and it was a huge impact to our community. I think that you would agree it was a huge win for us as a city and as a region. It was our first ever large-scale Christmas activation in Centennial Park in downtown. Through the thoughtful planning of our staff and strong partnerships within the community, we turned the heart of our city into a true holiday destination, bringing in thousands of families to celebrate under the lights. Because of Midland Merry Lights, our downtown businesses reported revenue increases during the month of December of as much as 35%. Those are real dollars into the community and our small businesses. And so we recognize that this type of programming is not just fun, it really does make an impact on bringing to life some of the parts of our community. The response from our community was incredible, and I'll just say this, if you loved it this last year, you'll want to stay tuned for what is coming next this Christmas. We're going to be adding to what we did, and it's going to be spectacular. We're also seeing success with events like Fly Into Fall at Midland Air Park and Chalk the Block, which brought energy and color to our downtown streets in a whole new way. These events are not just fun, they're part of a broader strategy of our city council and our city staff of how we can reimagine how we use our public spaces, how we support local businesses and create shared memories that deepen our connection to this place that we call home. Every city must have reliable utilities, and that starts with water. This was planned to talk about before we had the issues a couple weeks ago. So that makes it a little bit more poignant. The truth is we fell short of that standard just a few weeks ago, and we know that. And more importantly, we own it. We own the problems that we're facing. But I need you to know that in Midland, none of our water comes from within Midland County. I don't know if you're aware of that, but we don't have water inside of our county to support our population. It takes a complex system and a network of infrastructure to get our water here. For a city that's growing and for neighborhoods that are expanding, for residents and businesses who depend on us, reliable water infrastructure is a non-negotiable. It is quite literally one of the most essential parts of being able to live here. And so when it fails, everything in Midland feels uncertain, whether that's dropping your kids off at daycare or at school or being able to go to work and trust that you have what you need. That breaks down the certainty of life here. And so we understand, and we're not making excuses. We're taking responsibility. And more importantly, we're enacting solutions right now so that we can ensure that these problems don't persist into the future. The map that is in front of you shows a complex system that makes up our Midland's water capacity, from our T-bar pipeline to our CRMWD supply, to the treatment and storage facilities across the city. You can see that it's not simple, and this is actually a much simplified version. If you had to look at all of the thousands of valves and pipelines that run through our city to make this all work, the potential points of failure are more than you can probably wrap your mind around. And so we're looking at that. We're looking at how we can do that and make sure that we have serious planning to make it work properly. We've assessed these issues. We're investing in our infrastructure and technology, and we're investing in personnel to shore up the weak points that we've identified and to increase our reliability. And we're making sure that this system doesn't just work for today, but it works for future generations of Midlanders to come. City leaders in the past had the great foresight to plan for our water system for the future, and we benefit from that today. The council and I know the gift that that is, and we're committed to ensuring that future generations of Midlanders can also benefit from our foresight, and we're putting a lot of effort into that today. We can't build a great city without getting the basics right, and we're committed to doing exactly that. So speaking of the basics, let's talk about something that every resident relies on, roads and infrastructure. And you've heard me talk about orange cone fatigue before. We probably all still feel that we have some orange cone fatigue, but we cannot quit repairing and reinforcing the existing roadways and planning for future development of our rapidly growing community. You can't have a great city without a strong foundation, and that includes safe and functional streets, modern drainage systems, and connected corridors that support how we live and work and move and grow. For too long, Midland was stuck in catch-up mode, dealing with the consequences of delayed maintenance and underinvestment. The 2017 road bond was designed to fix that, and we're thankful for the visionary leadership at that time that brought that forward. It did begin to fix that, and I'm proud to share that the bond program will be completed this year, and yes, that includes the long overdue Garfield, So we're looking forward to having that done. Yes. As the First Baptist pastor claps the loudest in the room. But now the focus has shifted. We're not just catching up anymore, we're planning ahead. And we're investing in a road and drainage network that works for where Midland is going, not just where Midland has been. In this year alone, we're putting $64 million into roadways and infrastructure improvements, real funded projects that improve safety, capacity, and flow across our city. If you think about the $100 million road bond, critically important to existing roadways, $64 million more invested just in this year to be able to advance us even further ahead. And those include strategic projects like the Wadley extension at Highway 158, the Mockingbird Lane extension connecting the west side neighborhoods and relieving pressure on existing arterials, the Briarwood reconstruction and widening, further addressing heavy traffic volumes in one of the highest growth areas, the Fairground Road extension to the north, supporting long-term residential and industrial growth, and also the Occidental Parkway extension, which is a major east-west connector in far north Midland that's going to be led by Midland County. We're so thankful for their partnership to improve access across the region. This is what smart regional planning looks like. Partnerships with Midland County, with TxDOT, with the Midland Development Corporation, and with private developers all working towards a shared goal. And we truly are working together with Odessa and all of our regional stakeholders to make sure that these things are working well. Because infrastructure does not stop at the city line, and neither does our vision. We're no longer reacting. We're designing a system that grows with us, that supports new development and ensures that Midland stays connected, efficient, and ready for the future. Because a great city doesn't just fix potholes. A great city plans for people, and that's exactly what we're doing today in Midland. Building with purpose also means knowing where you're headed and having a real plan to get there. A strategic plan was a huge priority for our council, and so we put that into place and really made sure in late 2023 that we hit the ground running in 2024 with this strategic plan. We're not operating off of guesswork or gut instinct or whoever is yelling the loudest in the community. We are following a clearly defined strategic plan built by this council and shaped by community priorities and the feedback that we received from voters and from people around the community. This plan is more than just a document. It's a roadmap that guides our decisions, it guides our budget, and it guides our daily work. It's the matrix through which we run our decision-making processes at a council level and at a city staff level. It's focused on 6 strategic goals that define the kind of city that we're working to build. And everything that we've talked about today, from roads and utilities to recreation, safety, and private investment, ties back to this plan. It gives us direction, it keeps us accountable, and it ensures that we're not just reacting to change, we're leading with intention. This council is aligned, we have a purpose, we have a plan, and we're executing it every single day.
We want you to be able to see and touch the tangible vision for Midland. The vision shows what's already great about Midland, what's to come, and what we see for the future. More living, more working, more playing, more for Midland, more to come. These are the things that make our great city. Vision Midland.
What you just saw was more than a preview. It's a look at the future that we're building together. This is a vision board, a website that is accessible to you, and this is a product of our strategic plan, and today is the first time that it's being made available to the public. It reflects where we're headed as a city and what we believe Midland can become. To explore this further, we want you to have your hands on it, and we want you to get to manipulate it and play with it, but I'm a teacher, and so I'm not going to give you the QR code to access it until the end of the time. I don't want you to be distracted as we're talking through things and through our panel discussion. So that QR code is going to be available on the screens at the end of today's event. And I want you to know, this is the kind of interactive communication that we're pushing for. We want you to know what is happening in your community, and we want you to feel a part of it. The future is bright for Midland, and this vision helps to guide the way. Vision Midland also reflects the groundwork that we're laying and the direction we're heading. But we know that building a great city takes more than just vision on paper. It takes people willing to lead and invest and shape that vision into a reality. And if you look at other communities, Fort Worth, for example, the Bass family has been a shining example of how private citizens can uplift an entire city. Some of you spent time in Fort Worth before the Bass family made their investments. And their major investments, from developing the 35-block Sundance Square to building the world-class Bass Performance Hall, helped to transform downtown Fort Worth into a thriving hub of commerce and culture. These once quiet streets are now filled with lively shops and with restaurants and entertainment, illustrating how visionary support can guide urban renewal. Thanks to the Bass family's bold leadership, downtown Fort Worth was revitalized, leaving a lasting legacy of vibrancy at the city's heart. Similarly, in Tulsa, the George Kaiser family has championed initiatives that uplift both people and places. This was driven by a belief in opportunity, and George Kaiser's foundation has invested deeply in early childhood education, providing year-round support to tens of thousands of low-income children and their families so that every child can start life with a fair chance. At the same time, the Kaiser family led the creation of the Gathering Place, a nearly 100-acre riverfront park given as a gift to the community through an unprecedented $350 million private donation. Together, these initiatives have enriched Tulsa's community life and demonstrate the transformational impact that visionary private citizens can have on a city's future. Here in Midland, the reason I bring this up is Midland is fortunate to have that same kind of vision and leadership helping to shape what is next. We have individuals who have made their money in our industry and in our community who are choosing to invest it back into our city. Some of our developments are purely private, like the Summit Center or the Midland Zoo Midland, that we did the groundbreaking for yesterday, and the Preserve, where some partnerships are between the city and private investors, like the Omni Midland Hotel, for example. All of these projects are things that we need here to thrive and grow. But they're a product of people who see the vision and have a perspective for the long-term benefit of Midland. During our panel discussion in just a few minutes, we're going to talk more about some of these private investments that are propelling Midland forward. So now that you've seen some of the kind of lasting impact that families like the Bass family in Fort Worth and the Kaiser family in Tulsa and those shaping our future here in Midland have made, I want to point out to you, this is the Beacon is what it's being called. This is out by the Wagner Noel Center and the UTPB campus. This is what is being envisioned with the behavioral health facility as one of the first expansions of what has existed out there for several years. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to drive by there. You may have had the opportunity to sit in traffic as TxDOT completes their road construction when you're on the way to the airport. But to really see what is taking place and shaping up in that area. This is a really important addition, not just to Midland, but to Odessa. And it reflects hundreds of millions of dollars of investment from our state government back into our community for the behavioral health facility, as well as some of the future developments that are to come. There's going to be some more announcements that are coming, and we can't talk about all of those details, but you need to be aware that we have a strategic group of philanthropists and community-minded individuals who are making sure that this advances well and that it will be to the benefit of our communities. And I'm so excited to get to share that with all of you when the time is right. It's clear that people with vision and commitment and purpose can change the course of a community. Midland is full of those people, people who lead, who invest, and who build with intention. People who take seriously the responsibility of shaping the future, not just for today, but for the generations of Midlanders to come. Everything we've talked about today, from infrastructure and housing, to workforce and development, to education and healthcare, demonstrates that Midland isn't standing still. We're planning ahead, we're executing with purpose, and we're moving this city forward. So what makes a great city? It's not just the size or the speed of our growth. It's not one project or one moment. A great city is built by people who care enough to lead it well, who work through the hard decisions and the hard conversations, who believe that where we're headed is worth the effort to get us there. Midland is that kind of city because we're surrounded by people who choose to lead with purpose. You've heard me say it many times, people are the most important part of our great city. And we each, not just me as mayor, not just our council people and elected officials in various capacities, but we each as Midlanders have a calling here in Midland. That's why we're here. Your primary place of calling is right where you are today. Your primary place of calling is not a future version of yourself. It's not a future version of Midland when things are the way that you want them to be. Your primary place of calling is right now, today, between your own 2 feet. Will you step forward and do your part? Will you join those of us who are serving together to make Midland this great city that we know it can be? I want to thank you for your time, for your trust, and for your shared commitment to building a great city right here in Midland. Thank you.